Okay.
All right.
Welcome, Senator Leyva.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Madam Chair and members. I'm very excited to be here and present this bill to you. I would like to thank the chair and the committee staff for working with me on this bill, and I will present the bill as amended. Colleagues, in recent years, we have done a tremendous job up and down the state of making sure that our children have access to better quality foods at school and eliminating sodas on campus. However, I think we have inadvertently left out a very important element, which is making sure that the water our students are drinking is actually safe. SB 334 is about making sure that our children will have access to clean, safe drinking water at school. This bill will ensure that water is adequately provided on school campuses and it's safe to consume. There is currently no requirement in state law to test drinking water at school sites for lead or any other contaminants. This bill will expand the Childhood Lead Poisoning Prevention Act and direct the Department of Public Health to test water provided on school campuses through drinking fountains and other sources. Where water issues are found, school districts will need to ensure that students have access to clean water and develop plans to fix the problem. This bill will also put in place reporting processes and require that best practices are developed to ensure that we minimize the dangers of lead. In current law, we can test for pretty much everything else and make sure our children aren't exposed to lead, but not to their drinking water. It goes without saying that exposure to lead and other contaminants is a major health concern, particularly for young children, as they are more susceptible to lead than adults. Children can develop anemia, stomach and intestinal problems, hearing impairment, even liver or kidney damage. Even small amounts of exposure to lead will disadvantage them from learning at school. There's truly no safe exposure to lead. Of course, we must remember the positive health effects of drinking clean water. Drinking clean water and drinking water in general is crucial to fighting obesity. Over 30% of California's school-aged children are overweight or obese, increasing their risk of developing diabetes and cardiovascular disease later in life. Clearly, schools have a responsibility to provide clean drinking water to students and to promote healthy habits. Unfortunately, chemicals such as lead, which are harmful to students, may be present in some of the schools. In the absence of upgrading aging school facilities, many schools have lead plumbing and other potential sources of lead in their buildings. The extent of water quality issues at school sites is unknown, and the subsequent reporting has been piecemeal at best. We do know that this is an issue, and it should not be ignored. We know that efforts have been made in the past to address lead in schools. However, they have been short-lived, temporary, or never completed. SB 334 seeks to recommit our state and schools to providing safe drinking water and continue supporting healthy habits. It is critical that we understand the scope of the problem by requiring testing of water at schools and reporting results so that we may take steps to improve the quality of water. SB 334 is a work in progress, and I am committed to working with the chair, members of the committee, and the Environmental Quality Committee to resolve any outstanding issues or questions. Let's invest in our children. Let's invest in our future, which is really their future. I respectfully ask for your aye vote, and I do have Omar Carrillo from the Community Water Center here to testify.
Thank you very much. In support of the bill.
Omar Carrillo with the Community Water Center. Community Water Center has worked in communities who lack safe drinking water and in schools for over 10 years. It's an unfortunate fact that there are many schools that serve unsafe drinking water. In some instances, it could be a one-time occurrence. In other instances, it's a long-term chronic situation that's unmitigated. And we know that there's different ways that contaminated water can get into the source, that drinking source. So you have contaminated water that gets from the water system or in the pipes. And primarily lead is a very common contaminant that's actually in the pipes in some of the areas that were addressed in the bill. It's a health issue. So if you're drinking contaminated water, especially children, you can have problems with your kidneys, nervous system problems, all sorts of different developmental issues, and also bottom line is it can lead to cancer. So the EPA has said that lead poisoning, for instance, lead in water is 10 to 20% of lead contaminated poisoning. So EPA has verified that, of those that actually have been poisoned, 10 to 20% get it through their water. And Community Water Center has worked on some preliminary research, and we've determined that 48 of 58 counties in the state actually have at least one occurrence or one school that has contaminated water. And now the data that we have is actually mainly on the regulated systems. What is lacking is systems that have lead in their water that is not tested at the tap. So for instance, the water gets into your pipes after it's clear at the system, it's dirty in the pipe, and the children drink it. So at the end of the day, we need to have more information. On a personal note, I went to a school that had bad water. At one point, they actually put in new infrastructure, but it was a gymnasium and a new classroom. They did not address the pipes, and to this day, I still think they have bad water. So the issue of investing to protecting the health of students is critical, and this is a good bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Others in support?
Also in support is Dr. Lynn Silva. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. My name is Dr. Lynn Silver. I'm representing the Public Health Institute and California Project LEAN, which has worked for over 20 years to address improving the school food and beverage environment. And here, let me have some water. As a pediatrician, public health researcher working in childhood obesity, I can affirm without question that access to water in the settings where children spend their time is one of the proven strategies for addressing childhood obesity. This simple and obvious approach of providing delicious, cold, free tap water to our kids is one of the few interventions that's been proven in randomized controlled trials and in our practical experience to reduce obesity in school children. Focus groups that I personally carried out demonstrated that youth will drink water, but they want it to be cold and clean, and they want fountains that are well-maintained and yuck-free. Sadly, many of our schools, as Mr. Carrillo is pointing out, either lack sufficient water stations, they are poorly maintained, broken, dirty, poor quality water, or do not chill the water. And unfortunately, California's current required density is too low. As mentioned in the analysis, 38 states require 1 to 100 relations for water fountains and students. California is 1 to 150 or up to 300, depending on the school size. So that is a problem. Chronic diseases caused or aggravated by obesity cost California $88 billion in 2010 and represent 38% of healthcare costs. These are costs for school districts, for their employees, for the state, for its employees, and through Medi-Cal. And obesity is a major factor in this. So while assuring access to clean water for our children is not free, the real cost lies in failing to do so. This represents an important sustainable investment, primarily one time, in which once spent has low ongoing maintenance costs but high ongoing benefits to families. Water stations in particular are relatively cheap. They can cost $300 to $1,500 plus plumbing costs when they are used. We've been putting water stations in a variety of jurisdictions across California in the last few years as part of our community transformation grants, and these have been incredibly successful experiences. So in short, we urge the committee to support this bill, which we believe is important. However, we were disappointed to see the deletion of the provisions which would expand access to the density of water access points in schools to 1 to 100 over time and assure access to cold water. We think that that is important, that it could be spread over a decade, for example, to reduce the financial burden for school districts, but still get us to where we need to be. So we support the bill, and we look forward to working with the committee and with Senator Leyva to continue to try and address this problem and improve access both to safe water and to water in general for our school children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Others in support?
Jasmine Gordon with the California Black Health Network in support.
Thank you.
Madam Chair and members, Catherine Williams with the ACLU of California here in support.
Thank you.
Kathy Mossberg, representing the California Food Policy Advocates in support.
Thank you.
Julianne Broyles here on behalf of the California Association of Joint Powers Authorities. We are late in our support and support as proposed to be amended in the commitment to work with all the stakeholders. Thank you for the opportunity to support the bill.
Thank you.
Deborah Brown with Children Now in support.
Thank you.
Kula Koenig with the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association in strong support.
Okay, all right. Any others in support? In opposition to the bill? Please come to the table up here.
Good morning, Eric Bach with the Los Angeles Unified School District. We have an opposed position on the bill, but I'm happy to report, based on the amendments we're seeing and hearing today, that we're going to reevaluate our position on the bill and look at the bill as it comes in print. We've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with the author staff and the committee on this, and we really appreciate the opportunity to share our concerns, and we believe a lot of the amendments take care of those concerns, so appreciate it.
Thank you. Good. Thank you.
Good morning, Nancy Chaitis Espinosa with the California School Boards Association. We have an oppose unless amended on this bill, and my apologies for getting that in after the analysis deadline. We appreciate the author's leadership on this important issue. Our members work on creating safe schools every day in every sense of the word. The amendments clearly improve the bill. We appreciate the addition of resources to address this issue. Unfortunately, we remain concerned that the bill actually just doesn't go far enough. Beyond identifying the problem, we wonder what the resources are that the legislature intends for LES to actually address the issue. So we look forward on continuing conversation with the author.
You will have an opportunity in EQ. Thank you.
Good morning, Enrique Arbacho with the California Association of School Business Officials, CASBO. We represent school business officials throughout the state of California, and I would like to start by saying that we appreciate and we share the Senator's concerns regarding providing safe drinking water in schools, and we also appreciate her work and the work of her staff and committee staff in regards to the amendments. We like the direction that the bill is heading, and as soon as the amendments are in print, we'll have our members in terms of facilities and operations take a look at it. There may be some concerns regarding cost, but we look forward to working with the Senator and her staff.
Okay. Thank you very much. Senator Leyva. Let's see. Are there any questions from members? Senator Huff.
Appreciate the amendments. I had some concern about requiring it all to be cold because having grown up in a very hot area, drinking cold water when you're hot and exhausted leads to cramps and other bad things. So,
But it tastes better.
It does taste better, but so does Coca-Cola, and we try to ban that in schools too.
Which we did. Or I guess you all did. I wasn't here.
Yeah. And I didn't vote for that one either. But so I think it's heading in the right direction. Do the amendments deal with the quantity of testing? Originally, it's testing every year. Are you still looking to test every source every year?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Because the source of whatever the water is going to have to go through testing. So basically, what you are testing is the quality of the water as it's changing from a public system through the school system. And it would seem that if it's coming through contaminated pipes, that's going to be the same every year.
Well, and our hope would be, we do think what in our research has shown is it's not necessarily the water that is being sent to the schools, that it is the pipes. And we know there's been a lot of deferred maintenance over the years at our schools. So that could be the resolving the issue could be replacing the pipes, which of course there is a cost issue, but we have to find the money. How do we put a cost on exposing our children to lead?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that, but the question is, if it tests clear in year A, why maybe it tests clear in year B or two separate tests, why would you continue to test that if it doesn't have the embedded problem that is contaminating the water? So I think that needs to be addressed going forward, because otherwise you're just generating a lot of tests that are unnecessary while you don't want to attach a fiscal cost to the safety of a child, you don't want to do unnecessary testing that costs money that takes away from education either.
I would agree with you.
So there has to be some reasonable threshold.
Yes.
And how long has it been since lead pipes were outlawed? Do we know that?
I think a number of years, but I think if we look at schools up and down California, I know at least in my district there are some very old schools that were built in the 40s and the 50s, and I do believe that lead pipes were outlawed after that. But to your first point, Senator, the Department of Public Health is who we would work with, and school districts would work with them on a plan. So if DPH determined that, they may determine that, if you test clear 1, 2, 3 years, then maybe after that, they don't have to test it. So we could work that out, because I hear exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. The other thing, I know they changed the content, lead content in solder, and I think that's where most of the contamination comes from in, newer things. Lead pipes have been out for, I think, longer than 50, but I don't know. I just know somewhere in the last 20 years, they've kind of changed the content of the solder. You got to heat it up more because lead melts at a lower threshold and all that stuff. But if flushing for 30 minutes, or 3 minutes or 30, I don't know what the threshold is, but maybe
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Maybe an interim remedy would be that a school flushes, first thing in the morning before school opens until they can get it fixed or afford it.
Absolutely. And I think that is a short-term fix. But I know as a mother, my children are grown, but when they were younger, if I knew there was lead in the pipes and what they were doing to fix that was just flushing it for 30 seconds, I wouldn't feel terribly comfortable with that. Studies do show that it does work, so I think that's a good short-term fix, but there may be a longer-term fix needed.
My guess is that in most of the communities that have problems with the lead in the water at school, they have problem with the lead in the water at home as well, where they're probably imbibing significantly more than they are at school. So I guess what I'd like to see you focus on, I'm not going to support it today, but I would like to see you focus on letting schools off the hook if it's testing right. I don't know if you need to go 3 times, but if you do a couple times successively, there shouldn't be a problem there, because it's a static existing condition. Once you change the condition, logically that would change the outcomes. So
Fair enough. I appreciate your comments, and we will look into that going forward. Thank you, Senator.
I think, just to be clarifying, on page 5 of the analysis, there are identified remaining issues, of which frequency of testing is one of them, that this bill, if it gets out of this committee, goes to EQ, and we've hoped that those issues will be resolved in that other committee. Okay? Okay. Any other questions, Senator Hancock?
No, I think this is an important area. I would move the bill as amended to environmental quality.
Yes. Okay, the bill has been moved as amended to EQ. Let's call the roll.
Blue.
Aye.
Blue, aye. Huff. Block. Hancock.
Aye.
Aye, Hancock. Leyva.
Aye.
Aye, Leyva. Mendoza. Pan. Vidak. Three.
Okay, you have 3 votes. We'll leave the roll open for absent members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.